Hello my juniors, welcome to another anatomy lecture series. It is your great science tutor Lorenzo, and we'll be breaking and dissecting muscles of the anterior compartment of the thigh. If you are just joining us today in my channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on the post notification button so that anytime I drop any video, you'll be sure to be notified. And if you want any video to be made for you, simply just write it down in the comment section. I'll make sure I'll make the video for you. Or you have been studying and you have not been understanding, just write on the comment section, and once I go to it, immediately that video and the explanation will be made for you. So let us jump right into the video. So simply we'll be talking about today about the anterior muscles of the anterior compartment of the thigh. It's very simple. Basically, what is their function? Their primary function is that they flex the hip joint and they extend the knee joint. So some of the muscles flex the hip while some extend the knee. So it's not that they have all basic function. So basically they are supplied by the branches of the anterior, the branches of the femoral nerve, which is the anterior and the posterior branches, which we'll be talking about in the next video. So now, what mnemonic we use to remember the muscles of the anterior compartment of the thigh? Very easy. So remember, it is very the mnemonic is very funny. So just stay with me and don't forget it. So remember with this, the mnemonic is some very important rat and ant. Some very important rat and ant. Some very so three very important rat and ant. So when you remember this thing, you remember the muscles of the anterior compartment of the thigh. So now the first which is Sartorius muscle. The Sartorius muscle is the first muscle here in this group. Then now you have the Quadriceps femoris muscle. And what are the Quadriceps femoris? Very important. Very. What is the first very? Vastus lateralis. Second very, Vastus medialis. The third very, Vastus intermedius. And you have important is Iliopsoas. Now rat is rectus femoris. Rat is rectus femoris, and ant is Articularis Genus. So don't forget Articularis Genus. So some very important rat and ant. Some very important rat and ant. So the sum is the Sartorius muscle. Then very the Vastus family, which is the part of the Quadriceps femoris, which is Vastus medialis, Vastus lateralis, and Vastus intermedius. Then you now write important Iliopsoas, which is in the posterior abdominal wall, but is also acting on the hip joint. Then you write rat, which is the rectus femoris, very an important family of the Quadriceps femoris. And the last one, ant, Articularis Genus. So let us dive into the origin, insertion, and the functions of all these people, and how best can we use to remember that. So the first one we'll be talking about is the Sartorius muscle. So if we know the Sartorius muscle, the Sartorius muscle is the longest muscle in the body. Basically, it's the longest muscle in the body and located in the anterior part of the thigh. So what does it? It's originated from where? Originated from the anterior superior iliac spine, the anterior superior iliac spine, and it's insert where? In the superior medial aspect of the tibia. In the superior medial aspect of the tibia. So it's covers the gracialis muscle and the semitendinous muscle, which is part of the pes acerineus muscle. So the pes acerineus muscle is SGS. SGS muscle, which is inserting in the medial aspect of the tibia. So very simple. So what is the work? Now, it's the only muscle. It flexes the hip joint and also flexes the knee joint, and it's also participating in lateral rotation of the hip joint, and also adductor of the hip joint. So basically, so we call it the tailor muscle, because when you are using the muscle, it's just as if a tailor sewing clothes. So that is the Sartorius muscle. So some so the first the Vastus lateralis, very important. So what is the origin of the Vastus lateralis? Like I said, it's part of the muscles of the Quadriceps femoris, and the important thing about the Quadriceps femoris is that they are inserting on the patella, and they insert on the base of the patella, but at different part of the patella. So now the Vastus lateralis is originating from where? It has many origination. So it's coming from the lateral lip of the linea aspera. It's also coming from the lateral lip of the gluteal tuberosity. It's also coming from the intertrochanteric line. So it's also coming from the lateral intermuscular septum. So it has many origination. So when it originates from all these places, where is it inserting? It inserts along the lateral border of the base of the patella. Lateral border of the base of the patella, and also form it's also insert on the lateral aspect that forms the patellar retinaculum on the also covers the capsule of the knee joint. So it forms part of the lateral aspect of the patellar retinaculum that covers the what capsule of the knee joint. Very easy. So what is the function here? What is the function? They do the same thing. They stabilize the knee joint by extending. So they extend and stabilize the knee joint. So they stabilize the knee joint doing what? Extension. So don't forget. So they don't have any effect on the what? The hip. They only extend the what? Knee. Very simple. So the next one is what? Vastus intermedius. The same thing. What does vastus intermedius do? It what originates from the what? The anterior and lateral aspect of the femoral shaft. Anterior and lateral aspect of the femoral shaft. So when they originate from there, what they do? They also insert on the what? On the base of the patella. They insert on the base of the patella, just above the what? The rectus femoris. Just deep to the rectus femoris. The same thing. So what is the work they do? They do the same thing with all quadriceps femoris by extending the what? Knee joint and also stabilize the patella on the knee joint. So the next one is the vastus medialis. So the same thing with the vastus lateralis, but it's coming from the lateral lip of the linear spiral. It's also coming from the intertrochanteric line, also originating from the medial what? The medial intramuscular septum, and it descends also and insert on where is it inserting? Basically it's inserting on also the medial border of the patella, the medial border of the patella, of the base of the patella, and also forms the boundaries of the what? The patellar retinaculum, the fibrous part of the patellar retinaculum, and also it inserts around the capsule of the knee joint in the medial side. So what is the action? The same thing. Extend the knee joint and also stabilize the knee joint during extension. And but one thing that is, the nerve is different. Is supplied by the nerve to the vastus medialis, which is the thickest branch of the what? The femoral nerve. Everybody is supplied by the quadriceps femoris. They are supplied by the what we call the posterior division of the femoral nerve. The sartorius is supplied by what? Is supplied by the anterior division of the femoral nerve. While the quadriceps, the vastus lateralis and intermedius is supplied by the posterior division of the femoral nerve. So since you have understood this part now, very 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 important. Important is what? Iliopsoas. Now the iliopsoas is formed by the what? The iliacus muscle and the psoas major muscle. So the iliacus muscle is coming from the what? Basically the iliac fossa and the body around the ilium basically. So and why the psoas major muscle is coming from the what? Transverse process of the lumbar vertebrae together with T12. So they descend and combine together as one belly and insert in the lesser trochanter of the what? Of the femur. So basically, so which means they have different origin, which they are supplied by different nerve. So they basically, their function is that they what? Flex only the hip joint. So they flex the hip joint because they don't reach the knee. They stop in the lesser trochanter and assist in what? Flexion of the what? The hip joint. So basically that is the only easy one. So they are supplied by two different nerve. The iliacus muscle is supplied by the femoral nerve, while the psoas major is supplied by the anterior rami of L1 to L4. The anterior rami of L1 to L4. So some textbook can say supply from L1 to L5. So it depends on the textbook you are using. So remember, I will say some very very important rats. It was very very important. We have talked about important iliopsoas. So the next one is rat. Rat is the what? Rectus femoris. So rectus femoris also is among the quadriceps family. So it's originating from two heads. So it has two head origination. So the first head is you have the straight head and the reflected head. The straight head is originating from the anterior inferior iliac spine, the anterior inferior iliac spine, the upper part of the anterior inferior iliac spine, while the reflected head is originating above the groove of the acetabulum. So it's originating from two heads, the straight head and the reflected head. So it meets at an acute angle and it starts at the base of the patella. Just above the vastus intermedius. So when it inserts, it has two basic functions. It's the only quadriceps muscle that have two basic functions. Others do one thing, which is extension of the knee joint, but it flex the hip and it extend the knee. Flex the hip and extend the knee, while others only extend the knee. So and it's supplied by the same nerve, just like everybody, which is the posterior division of the femoral nerve. So all the quadriceps muscle are supplied by the posterior division of the femoral nerve, except from the vastus medialis. They have its own personal nerve, which is nerve to what? Vastus what? Medialis. So very very important. Rat and ant. What is the ant? Articularis Genus. Articularis Genus is thought to be a continuous muscles of the vastus medialis. So it's originating from that lower part of the what humerus, which is just like a continuation of the vastus medialis. So it descends in the same way and insert at the base of the at the base of the patella, just the same way. So that is the same thing. So it is supplied by the what twig, by a twig of the vastus medialis, the twig of the vastus medialis. So it's not really an important muscle like that, but it's just told to be there because they are all doing the same thing, which is extending the knee joint. So don't forget that. Don't forget, some very important right and are muscles of the what anterior compartment of the thigh. So I hope it all makes sense and you understand the muscles of the anterior compartment of the thigh, which is with the mnemonic I gave you, which is some very important right and ant, which means all the muscles of the anterior compartment of the thigh extend the knee joint and flex the hip joint. They extend the knee joint and flex the hip joint. So very simple. The Sartorius muscle flex the hip and knee. The Sartorius muscle flex the hip and knee, while the Quadriceps femoris, which is Vastus, Medialis, Lateralis and Intermedius, and Articularis Genus, they all extend the knee. Don't forget. Why the Rectus Femoris flex the hip and extend the knee. Don't forget. Why the Iliopsoas only does one thing, which is they are the chief flexor of the hip joint. So don't forget it. So if you are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe and turn on the post notification button. So anytime I drop any video, you'll be sure to be notified. And if you want a video to be made for you, I always tell you, just put it down in the comment section. So I'll be meeting you in the next part of the video, which is muscles of the posterior compartment of the thigh. Bye bye.